Hey guys, uh, episode 5 of the Franchise Tag podcast. Not exactly how I expected things to go. Elijah's not going to be able to make it for this one. He's got stuff to do. He's busy. We're both busy. We were supposed to record yesterday. I went to a concert, so it's entirely my fault that we aren't getting this episode out normally, but I figured I'd just come on here real quick, gives you a quick, probably 5-10 minute episode, just giving up our picks and briefly touching on the topics that we were supposed to talk about because they are still kind of current events. And we will wait until next episode for the stock market to open. Unfortunately, we aren't going to be able to get any moves done today, but we'll try to figure that out next episode and see what we'll do. So, to go over the pick'ems real quick for last week, just as a recap, I went 10-6 to make my overall record 35-29, and Elijah went 12-4. Damn, he killed it last week to make his total record 41-23. So for this next week, I'm just gonna go through these pick'ems real quick, and then we'll get into the events and everything. I'm going to do it a little bit different just because we're running through this pretty quick. I've got Commanders over Bears, Bills over Jags, Texans over Falcons, Lions over Panthers, Colts over Titans, Dolphins over Giants, Saints over Patriots, Ravens over Steelers, Bengals over Cardinals, Eagles over Rams, Jets over Broncos, Chiefs over Vikings, Niners over Cowboys, and Packers over Raiders. And Elijah's got Bears over Commanders, Bills over Jags, Texans over Falcons, Lions over Panthers, Colts over Titans, Dolphins over Giants, Patriots over Saints, Ravens over Steelers, Bengals over Cardinals, Rams over Eagles, Broncos over Jets, Chiefs over Vikings, Niners over Cowboys, and Raiders over Packers. My lock of the week is Dolphins over Giants, though I could also definitely see Chiefs over Vikings being a lock. I could see Bengals over Cardinals being a lock, and I could definitely see Lions over Panthers being a lock as well. I will have to get Elijah's lock from him and throw that in the video because I don't have it right now, but I would imagine it's either going to be Lions over Panthers or probably Chiefs over Vikings, if I had to guess. I'm not entirely sure, but we shall see. And then this week, actually, we've got the Browns, Seahawks, Chargers, and Bucks on bye. So we've got our first bye week this week. So we've got fewer games than the past weeks. And so that'll make our pick'ems matter a little bit more. The correct ones will be worth a little bit more in the percentage wise. But with all that being said, let's get into the topics of the video. We've got CMC. CMC popped off this week. He's got 7 touchdowns, 600 scrimmage yards through 4 games. Might be an MVP candidate. Could we see a running back win it for the first time in a while? That'd be really interesting for sure. And I would definitely like to see him continue this, even though he's not on my fantasy team. But I would definitely like to see him keep it up and look good for the rest of the year. The Toy Story Fun Day Sunday was nice. It was a janky, beautiful mess. We were going to talk about Zach Wilson and how he didn't look awful, and how I nearly jinxed Patrick Mahomes with saying that, this would be a cakewalk for them, and then it wasn't. But the Chiefs were able to win. Refs and questionable calls throughout. It happens in every game, but obviously that one a little bit bigger on a bigger stage with a bigger audience and maybe a little bit bigger impact. Not necessarily to the overall record, because without Rodgers, I think the Jets are kind of like a bottom tier team. But maybe with Zach Wilson, if he keeps playing like this, they'll win a few games, put a couple together. And then the Broncos finally managed to win one over the Bears. Of course, that was a loss in spectacular fashion by the Bears coaching staff. And then the Commanders losing in overtime. Dorian Thompson-Robinson got snaps, and I could not be happier. He didn't really do much with him. He didn't look great, but, Deshaun out for a week. It wasn't like a planned, hey, we're going to bench Deshaun this week. It was, shit, Deshaun's injured, so let's start DTR. Let's get him some snaps. So he didn't do too well with them, but I still think he's a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson, off the field particularly. And then Joe Burrow. The Bengals in general are just going through it right now, not doing super well. It's it's unfortunate that they're pushing Joe Burrow to be back out there. They just signed him to a long-term deal, and I think it would be better for the Bengals, for the organization in the long run if they just sit him for a couple weeks. Like, you've got this guy locked up for the next 5-6 years. Treat him like it. Sit him, let him get healthy. The tush push we talked about a couple weeks back, not looking so good on the other teams trying it. The percentages we have written down here: 91% success rate for the Eagles on the tush push, and 68% for the league on the tush push. So, like I was saying in that episode where we talked about it, the Eagles are just better at creating space on the line than the other teams in the league. And I think that it's showing that it's not because they're pushing Jalen Hurts, it's because that O-line is creating a ton of space. And then just a little bit of outlook on Puka Nacua, who's been tearing up the league. Kind of the favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year right now, along with CJ Stroud. But I'm worried about how he looks with Cooper Kupp coming back. And I think he'll still keep some target share, but Kupp is the one in that offense. And I don't think Kupp coming back is going to be a good thing for Puka. Rather than having a one come in and take attention away, I don't think attention was bothering Puka. I think he was doing extremely well despite having a lot of attention on him after the first couple weeks. And I think with Cooper Kupp coming back, the only thing that's going to dip and that's going to happen is that his targets are going to dip, and he's just not going to be performing as high of a level. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe he keeps this up, and Kupp is just a distraction out there for him. But at this point, I don't think that's the case. And so with that being said, the Offensive Rookie of the Year race, I think, is leaning towards CJ Stroud, because you could say that it's going to be Bijan or Puka, but I think that Bijan hasn't come out the gates as hot as he needed to, and it's because the Falcons are more of a running back by committee, where it's not just Bijan, it's Algier, it's Cordell Patterson, it's the whole team running the ball, and the Falcons in general are struggling a little bit. I think the issue is that Puka is coming out the gates hot, but he's going to cool off when Kupp comes back, and so he's going to have this like torrid hot start to the year, and then it's going to kind of mellow out, and he's still going to be productive, he's still going to be very good, and the value is still insane no matter what he does from here on out. But I think that in general, Puka's going to be kind of a mid-range good receiver when Kupp comes back, and I don't think that's enough to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I think Bijan isn't starting out as hot as he needs to, because even if he does pick it up, it's going to be, oh, well, he was good the last 10 weeks or the last 8 weeks or the last however many weeks. But right now, my front runner, which at the beginning of the year was Bijan, I think CJ Stroud is by and large winning this award. I think that he is the only player that is going to start out hot and, barring any injury, going to finish just as hot. Because the team isn't going to get any worse. He's not going to lose any snaps unless he gets injured. And I think that he started out hot enough to kind of keep that trajectory where there's nobody coming back from injury that's going to threaten his snaps. There's nobody that's going to slow him down at all except for himself. And so if we're projecting based on what we've seen now, I think Stroud is the favorite. But that will all remain to be seen as well. Got some injury news. Christian Gonzalez, Patriots rookie corner, my favorite for Defensive Rookie of the Year, is likely out for the season with a torn labrum that he got from dislocating his shoulder. That led to the Patriots trading for J.C. Jackson back from the Chargers, who they got for a 6th and 7th round pick swap. And this is after the Chargers made J.C. Jackson a very, very highly paid cornerback, so this just looks bad on the Chargers. And then there was an update to the gambling policy for NFL players that wager on other sports while on NFL premises, which is against the rules. You're not allowed to bet on another sport, or you're not allowed to bet on anything while on, like, in a team facility or anything like that. So if you do that, 2-game suspension for a first offense, and then for the second offense, it's a 6-game suspension, and for the third offense, results in a 1-year suspension. And then if you bet on the NFL, but not your team, it's a 1-year suspension minimum. And if you bet on the NFL and it is your team, it's a 2-year minimum. And obviously the NFL can determine the length of each suspension. Those are simply the minimums. So if it's, wagering on your team and you were betting the under and then you went down early and you made it look really bad, like you were trying to get fewer yards or something like that. Obviously, I think they'd probably take you out the league more than a 2-year suspension, but that is all up to the NFL, and we will have to see what happens from there in the future. Obviously, it's getting easier and easier to gamble with all the sports books that you can get on your phone, and I think that's why we saw an uptick in it. I also think we saw an uptick in it, and Elijah thinks this as well, because there was no hard rule and hard punishment. It was, hey, don't do that, and if you do, we'll determine the punishment. Now it's, hey, don't do that. If you do, this is exactly what you get. So I think we'll see fewer NFL players gambling on sports and gambling on football, just because they have the punishments laid out now. But that, I believe, is all the news we have. We were going to do some bingo updates, some stock updates, but I'm not going to do that without Elijah here. So that is pretty much all I got for you. Really, really short video today. Went through the pick'ems, went through the news, and I think that's just going to be about it. We will hopefully see you back here for a full episode next Thursday. But for now, that's going to be it. I hope all of y'all enjoy this short episode, and let me know if y'all want some shorter form content. If y'all have any suggestions, leave them down below. Let us know your picks, your locks, everything like that. Y'all take it easy.